Hi, welcome to Roy's Game Table. Today, Sahala and Taqren take on Maggoth. Who will win? Pull up a chair and let's find out. Alright, our playthrough today is going to be of Aeon's End, the New Age expansion. And the New Age introduced Expedition mode, and actually right out of the box you can play through a story that is involved in Expedition mode. And I'm not going to spoil any of that story today. In fact, everything you see here on the table comes off the stop sheet that comes right out of the box as soon as you open the box. Sahala and Taqren are a couple of the mages. As you can see there, they're a couple of the starter mages that it recommends that you use. And then the market over here they're going to be using. All 9 of those cards are, you can see there, they're part of the market right out of the stop deck. And Maggoth is the nemesis that they recommend that you use in the first game. And so that's why I'm using him. So this is just going to be a normal Aeon's End game. There shouldn't be any spoilers whatsoever of the story and any spoilers of any of the closed envelopes from the New Age expansion. So I just wanted to make that clear. This is just a normal fight between Sahala and Taqren and Maggoth. And again, all 3 of these are on the stop deck. They're the ones recommended. You can see them right out of the box. And the 9 cards over there are also right out of the box. Now, I'm sure you're going to want to meet our mages and our minions. And I'm sure you're going to want to know what cards I'm using. And so instead of reading everything out loud and boring you to tears, I'm going to string together some pictures that are going to be up for about 1.5 seconds or so, but long enough for you to pause each picture so you can read the text on the mats and on the cards. So I'm going to put those pictures up right now, and then I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so the turn order deck has been shuffled, so let's see who has the first turn of the first round. It's going to be Sahala. Okay, so she has her Sparkling Meteorite, which is a gem. She can get 1 or gain 3. They can only be used to put focus or open a breach. So I'm going to prep her Spark, and I'm going to hold on to her Sparkling Meteorite. And I'm going to use these other 3 to actually go ahead and open breach 2, because it only needs 3 to be open, because I know that she has 2 sparks in her starting deck over here, and I want to be able to prep those next turn so I can keep them out of my way so that the crystals can go through faster to get more buying power. Well, actually I won't have both of the sparks on my next turn because I'm going to hold on to this. But anyway, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next turn, and it will be Sahala again. I'll go ahead and cast this spell because Maggoth, his nest mat comes in with 2 maggots on it. So I'm going to use one of that damage to get rid of a maggot. And then I'm going to prep this spark. And I have 1, 2, 3, and I can get 4 or I can get 3 that can only be used to open a breach. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll spend 3 to get an exogranite, and then I'll spend the 3 from her bottom to focus her 3 breach. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she got the first 2 turns of the game, and she's done. Next turn, it's going to be the nemesis. So he'll get to go next. And he's going to come in with the worm, and it's persistent. Any player suffers 1 damage, Gravehold suffers 1 damage. He'll come in with 6 health. And I don't have a lot of damage right now, so I'm going to have to focus everything on him, or else I'll be taking damage early in the game, quite a bit of damage. And Taqren is going to go next. In his starting hand, he has a gift of spirit, so that's going to come into play. And he gets he'll get 4 crystals. And I think what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to spend 3 of them to buy an exogranite for him. And then I'm just going to hold on to this other crystal and let that go into my next hand. So I'll discard my crystals on top of that. So the crystal he has in his hand, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he'll have 5 cards, 1 in his deck. All right, next turn it's either Taqren or the Nemesis, and it is going to be the Nemesis. Okay, so any player suffers a damage, I'll have Taqren take it. He'll go from 10 to 9, and then Gravehold suffers the damage. So Gravehold will go from 30 to 29. All right, and then the card draw, it's going to be an attack. Place a fly into play, any player suffers 3 damage. So a fly, the difference between the fly and the maggots, flies have 2 hit points, maggots only have 1 hit point. And once I fill up the mat, once I fill up a row, I have to do what's on top of that row. So once this bottom row gets filled up, a Gravehold suffers 2 damage, and I hatch a fly. And when I hatch a fly, you take the bottommost maggot, which would be this one, and it upgrades into a fly. So that's how that works. So I don't want these to get too out of hand, because each time it'll do something, and if the whole board fills up here, the players lose the game. So place a fly into play, and then any player suffers 3 damage. I'll just have Taqren go ahead and take that, drop him from 9 to 6. Okay, and then the last turn of the round will be him. So I'm going to deal 1 damage. I'm going to cast this spell. I can either draw a card with his Gift of Spirit or deal a damage. I'm going to deal the damage to the worm. So that drops to 5. And then his hand is all crystals. So that means I have 5 Aether. And I'm going to use that 5 Aether to buy an Energized Rubidium, which gives me 3 Aether when I play it, and then any ally can discard a card to get a charge. Okay, so draw up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the turn order deck has been shuffled, so now we're ready for the first turn of round 2, and that will be Taqren. So he's got some buying power. I'm going to prep this spark. He's got 1, 2, 3, and this exogranite gives him 2, or I can destroy it to get 3. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm not going to destroy it. I'm actually going to use it to buy an Imbued Smash. Go ahead and get a spell going for him. So that'll be his turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on his next turn, he'll have some more buying power. He does have 1 spell in his hand, but he'll mostly have buying power, so that's good. Okay, second turn of the second round is going to be the Nemesis. So the worm will activate. Any player suffers a damage. I'm going to have Sahala take it this time. She'll go down to 9, and then Gravehold suffers a damage. It'll go down to 28. And the card draw is going to be a power, Fly Throng, spend 6, place 3 maggots into play, any player suffers 3 damage. So I can spend 6 to pay that off, and I'm going to want to do that because I've been taking a lot of damage, and I don't want any player to suffer 3 more damage. I mean, I don't want maggots coming into play either, but more than anything, I don't want any of the players taking any more damage. But I do have some time to take care of that. Okay? And the Nemesis will go again. So I'll have Sahala take a point of damage, and then Gravehold will go down to 27. remove a power token. And the next card is going to be an attack. Unleash. The player with the most prepped spells suffers 1 damage and discards a prepped spell. So Unleash brings in 2 maggots. And the player with the most prepped spells, they both have a prepped spell, suffers 1 damage and discards a prepped spell. So let's see. I don't think Sahala has gone this turn. No, and Taqren has. So, but Taqren's lower on health, but I'm going to have him take the damage. Down to 5. And he'll discard his spell. That way Sahala can, since she has 2 turns, at least she can cast hers. I mean, I guess he could too, but that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Not starting off too great for our mages. Next turn is going to be Sahala. So we'll go ahead and cast this for 1. Bringing him down to 4. And then I have 2 sparks in hand, so I'm going to prep those. And I have 3 crystals, and I'm going to use those to buy another exogranite for her. So hopefully soon she'll be able to start getting some spells and then open her breaches. I want to get that breach 4 open because anything cast out of her breach 4, which is her celestial breach, anything cast out of there does +2 damage. And her ability, as you saw earlier, lets her prep up to 2 spells to an open celestial breach that doesn't have a spell prepped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next turn. And it's going to be Sahala again. I'm going to cast both of these to bring him from 4 to 2. And she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She can get up to 6 Aether this turn. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to hold on to 1 crystal. And I'm going to go ahead and spend 2, 3, 4, 5. Spend 5 to give her an imbued smash. Like I said, I'm going to keep this crystal in hand, so I'll discard. And now she'll draw up. So that crystal's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next turn. Last turn of this second round is going to be Taqren. And he doesn't have any spells to cast because he had to discard it. All right, he's got 1, 2, 3, 6. I have a spell. Let me prep that spell on breach 1. 1, 2, 3, 6. I've got 6 Aether. Now she can discard a card to be able to get a charge over here, but I'm not going to do that, I don't think. Not yet. So he has 6. And the reason why she could discard a card to get a charge is because that's what the Energized Rubidium allows her to do, as you saw earlier. So I think with 6, I'm going to go ahead and have him buy another Imbued Smash. That'll give him some spells, and then I can start charging up to open breaches and start healing him back up because she's at 8 and he's at 5. I also could have used it to pay off this card here, but I didn't do it. So I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. I totally forgot about that power card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an Imbued Smash. So if I destroy that exogranite, he will have enough to pay that off next time, and that may be what I do. Okay, first turn of the next round goes to Sahala. She has a bunch of buying power. Prep this spark. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She could pay off that Fly Throng, and I think I will. So I'm going to destroy this exogranite to pay that off to get 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that'll be enough. To pay this off, I have to spend 6. to discard Fly Throng, so that's good. He won't be placing maggots, and he won't. And the most important thing, they won't be taking any more damage. But that's it for her turn. One, two, three, four, five. Okay. Next turn, it's going to be Taqren. And he's going to go ahead and cast his Gift of Spirit and deal the damage and deal 1 to this worm. And now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get an imbued smash. I'm going to spend 3 of the 5 to buy a galvanized bauble. So that's 3, and then the other 2, I'm going to go ahead and give him a charge. So he'll draw up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next turn, it's going to be the Nemesis. So wasn't able to quite get him out of the way. So any player suffers a damage, it'll be her. She'll go to 7. And then Gravehold suffers a damage, 26. And the card draw is going to be a power Chaos Orb, spend 6. And it's a power 3 Unleash. Gravehold suffers 4 damage. And Gravehold's been taking quite a bit of damage in this game so far, already down to 26, so I'll look to try to pay that off. But again, it's a power 3, so I do have some time. Alright, next turn. It's going to be Sahala. So she'll use her spell, her spark, to take out this worm, and finish him off so he doesn't keep doing any more damage. And she has an imbued smash and 2 sparks. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll prep a spark. And then I'll spend 3 to go ahead and focus this breach 3. And prep this spark. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next turn. It's going to be Taqren. All right. Now, if this fills up, Gravehold will suffer 2. And so I have 4 damage, and then I can discard a card to do 2 to the Nemesis. So let's see what I have here. Okay. So I'm going to cast my Imbued Smash to deal 4 damage, and I can spread it out among all I want. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to get those out of the way so that Gravehold doesn't take any more damage. And then I'm going to discard a crystal to do 2 damage to the Nemesis. So finally doing something to him, 45 to 43. All right, and I'm going to prep that. And I have 3, 4, Aether. And I want to get this breach 4 open because anything cast out of this open 4 breach for him heals Gravehold by 1. It's a unique breach of his. So I'm going to go ahead and use that 4 to focus. And I'll prep the spark onto it. And she can discard a card to get a charge. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. Because she's got 5 Aether right there in her hand. And I want to be able to buy an imbued smash for her again. So we'll just end his turn then. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, his next turn will give him some buying power, and he's got his relic, the galvanized bauble, and his spell. And this last turn is going to be the Nemesis. So Lose a token off of that. Well, slid it over and the token came off on its own. How about that? Draw a card, and it's also a power card. Discard 3 cards in hand, but it's only a power 1. So hopefully we can get to that before it goes off, but we'll see. Because it's the end of the round, so let me shuffle up. Okay, first turn of a new round. It's going to be Sahala. Good. She's got a lot of damage to deal. So, 4 damage. And if you remember, I'm not going to discard a card to do 2 because I'm going to buy another one of those. So, but anyway, 4 damage. And I'm going to do it to him. So, bringing him from 43 to 39. And then I'll cast both of these sparks. I'll have 1 spark to kill this maggot. And 1 spark do a damage to him, bringing him down to 38. All right, Gravehold's at 26. Maggoth is at 38. And as I said earlier, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's enough to buy an imbued smash, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll put my starter card on at the bottom of that hand of discard. Okay, so let's 1, 2, 3, 4. Flip her deck. 5. All right, next turn. And it's going to be the Nemesis. So we lose this token. And this Hive Surge will go off. Place a maggot into play. All right. Then place 2 flies into play. So it didn't hurt us as bad as it could have, I guess. But we had just emptied it, and now it's over halfway full. Card draw is going to be unleashed twice, and this will fill it up. Any player suffers 1 damage and places their most expensive card in hand on top of their deck. So unleashed twice means that there's going to be 4 maggots come into play. Okay, and I'll resolve that top thing in just a second. So Gravehold's going to suffer 2, and we're going to hatch a fly. So Gravehold's down to 24. And we'll hatch this maggot into a fly. And then any player suffers a damage and places their most expensive card in hand on top of their deck. I don't really want Taqren to have to suffer damage. He's already at 5. But she has an imbued smash that she would have to put on top of the deck. And he would only have a galvanized bauble, so I will have him just take the damage. He'll go down to 4. And he'll put the most expensive card in hand on top of the deck. Put that on top of the deck. All right. Next turn. It is going to be Taqren. We're definitely going to be casting that imbued smash, but I want to see if there's a card I want to discard. Yes, I will. So, I'm going to cast the imbued smash to deal 4 damage. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it to Maggoth. So bringing him down to 34, from 38 to 34. And then I'm going to discard a crystal to bring him down to 32. And then I'm going to have to cast this spark, and I'll use that to get rid of one of these maggots. Unfortunately, I don't have 6 to pay off the Chaos Orb. I only had 3 Aether in my hand, and I have these 2 left. So with those 2, I think I'm going to go ahead and just buy a charge. Because charging them up will let them heal and focus a breach. Okay, so let's draw it for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next turn. I'm afraid the Chaos Orb's going to go off, and it will. So, unleash, which means we put 2 maggots into play. So I'm glad I destroyed that maggot, or else Gravehold would suffer 2 and hatch 2 flies. Because Gravehold's going to suffer 4 now. So down to 20. Oops. Okay, so we got Portal Guardian and Unleash. Any player suffers a damage, and he comes in with 8 health. All right. Next turn. It's going to be Taqren. So I can deal a damage or any ally draw a card. I am going to cast the spell. I'll just hit him, bring him down to 7. And then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where I can get 6. And then I can focus any ally's breach or cast any prep spell. There aren't any prep spells, and he doesn't have any. So I'll just go ahead and use it to focus it. I'm going to use it to focus her breach 4 to get that Celestial open. And then I'm going to spend, let's see, I have 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll just spend all 5, but I'm going to use them to get charges. And I'm going to go ahead and use his ability, focus any player's breach, which will be his breach 4. And then in game 1 life for each open breach, and that's going to be 1, so he'll go up to 5. All right, draw up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he'll need to get 1 more card. So he has a new hand. And then this last turn is going to be Sahala. And she has 2 spells I'm going to prep. And she has 2, 3, 4. Or I could get 5. But I think what I'll do is I'll just spend those 4. Because I've got 2 imbued smashes. You know what? I will destroy that Exogranite for 3, 4, 5. And I'll just buy this last imbued smash for her. And now I can really start focusing on getting her charges and opening up that 4 breach, hopefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Shuffle up for the next round. Okay. Next turn is going to be Taqren. He has 1, 4, 5, and I gotta prep that. So I've got 5 Aether and an imbued smash. So let's go ahead and spend all 5 of that to open this breach here. And we'll prep this imbued smash to it. And because I played that Energized Rubidium, she can discard a card to get a charge. And I think I will. I'll discard this Spark to let her get a charge. And that'll be his turn. Okay, draw up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, second turn of this round goes to Sahala. So I was thinking about what I want to do here. I've got 5 damage coming out of this breach. And he's going to unleash. It's not enough to kill him. So, but Taqren does now have enough to kill that Portal Guardian. So I'll use 4 damage to take away 1, 2, 3, 4 maggots. And I'll discard a Spark to do 2 damage to the Nemesis. So that's going to bring him from 32 to 30. And then I'll do this other spark to take this maggot. And I know that if the Nemesis goes next, it's going to fire that off. But, I mean, I got to keep those things under control. Because I definitely don't want to get them out of control and then lose the game up there. Okay, so I can get 3 Aether from this gem, her Sparkling Meteorite, to focus a breach, and this other one for 4. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that to focus her Celestial Breach and just go ahead and prep that on top of it. She won't get the +2 damage from it, but, you know, I focused it. I'm going to cast it anyway next turn, so why not just put it there? Okay. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Next turn. And it is the Nemesis. So he's going to unleash, which is to put 2 maggots up. And that will cause Gravehold to suffer 2 damage down to 18. But now, when Taqren, now that he's got his Breach 4 open, everything that comes out of that is going to heal Gravehold 1. So hopefully I'll be able to catch back up on that. But I hatch a fly. So this maggot will come into a fly. And then any player suffers a damage, I'll just have Sahala take it. And then the card is going to be an attack. Place 6 maggots into play, or any player suffers 5 damage. I don't want them taking any more damage. So I'll just put the 6 maggots into play. Okay, I put 6 maggots into play, and that means great. This top line was met, so because that row filled up, so Gravehold's going to take another 2, bringing it down to 16, and we're going to hatch a fly, hatch 2 flies. All right, I gotta be careful, but I just can't have them taking any more taking 5 damage. I mean, that would exhaust Taqren. Okay, next turn, it's going to be the Nemesis again. So unleash 2 more maggots, and it's going to end up filling up a row. So Gravehold suffers 2 damage and hatch 3 flies. So now rows 1 and 2 all have flies, and I'm really falling behind, and that's just part of that. Now anybody has to suffer damage. I guess I'll have Sahala do it. So she'll go down to 5. All right, the card draw is the Volcanic Zala. Gravehold suffers 3, or any player loses 2 charges. He'll come in with 10 health. All right, the bad news is I feel like I'm losing. The good news is the Nemesis is done, at least for this round. Next turn, it's going to be Taqren. So, let's see. I'll start with this Imbued Smash. I'm going to deal 4 damage to something, which will be him, I guess. Because I got to get rid of these 2. I know I got to get rid of those maggots, but I got to get rid of these guys too. Can I afford to discard a card, do 2 to the Nemesis? Yes. I'll get rid of a crystal, I'll discard a crystal to bring him from 30 to 28. And then here I'll deal 4, and I'll just go ahead and kill this Portal Guardian. And I won't discard a card to do 2 more to the Nemesis, but because I casted out this one, out of Breach 4, Gravehold goes back to 15. Okay, so I have 2 spells I can prep, and then I only have these 2 crystals, which I'll use to buy a charge. So a decent turn, but not good enough for what I need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and the last turn will be Sahala. So she'll do 4. And I could clear that row up there, and that's what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and clear this row so that hopefully, I mean, if he unleashes twice, it'll just fill back up. But if it only unleashes once, it won't. And can she discard a card? She could, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to prep that and spin these 4 crystals to focus her Celestial Breach there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that's the end of that round. Let me shuffle up the turn order deck. Okay, first turn of this new round. It's going to go to the Nemesis. So they don't have 2 charges to lose, so Gravehold will have to suffer 3. Down to 12. All right, the card draw is going to be a power card. I'm actually a little relieved because it's spin 7, but it's a power 3. If there are 7 or less total flies and maggots, place 3 flies and 1 maggot into play. Otherwise, any player suffers 4 damage. So I can't let that go off because I'll be suffering damage because there are currently 9 maggots in play. Okay. Sahala. So 4 damage. And he's at 28. And I feel like the damage is going to start coming. Yeah, she's got 4 spells and a crystal in her hand. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and deal 4. There to the Nemesis, bringing him down to 24. Because I could take those 2 flies out, but then if he unleashes, Gravehold's gonna suffer too. So I'm just not gonna do it. And I know I can hit him, but that's a lot of health, and you know he's at 24. So anyway, do I want to discard a card to do 2 damage? I'll discard a spell to do 2 damage to the Nemesis off of Imbued Smash. So he's down to 22. Gravehold's at 12. The Nemesis is at 22. Let me prep my Imbued Smash and a Spark, unfortunately. And I'll just spin this crystal so I can get rid of it. But I have to hold on to this Spark. So that Spark is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next turn. It's going to be Taqren. Okay. So I can deal 2 damage. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to deal a damage with this and a damage with this Spark. I'm just going to go ahead and deal it to him to bring him down to 20. And since his Gift of Spirit came out of the Open 4 breach, Gravehold will heal a point. And let's see what he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and I have this. Okay, so I know if there are 7 or less total flies and maggots, place 3 in there. Otherwise, a player suffers 4 damage. So I'll go ahead and have this Galvanized Bauble cast any player's prep spell, which will be this Imbued Smash for 4 damage. I'll have it take out these 2 flies. So that's 7. So if nothing else happens when that goes off, then they're not going to take damage because I can't pay it off yet. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to discard a card to do 2 damage to the Nemesis. So we'll just do that. And And then I'm going to destroy my Exogranite to get 3, 4, 5, 6. And that'll fill him up. And I could leave those on there. I could leave those on there to lose the 2 charges for this Sahala. But I think it's probably good to go ahead and try to heal as well and focus a breach. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use his ability. I can focus any player's breach, and so it's going to be Sahala's to get that breach 4 open. And then any player gains 1 life for each open breach you have, which is 2, and I'll just have him gain it to 7. Okay. So I'll flip his discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Next turn. It's going to be the Nemesis. So, Gravehold suffers 3. Any player loses 2 charges. Well, Gravehold will have to suffer 3 because okay. And then do that. And we got a Vile Breeder coming in. Place a Maggot into play. Any player suffers 2 damage. And he comes into play with 9. Next turn. It's going to be Sahala. She has 1 spark. So I'll use that to, you know what? I'll just use it to bring him down to 19. And then let's see if I can charge him up. No, I won't have enough. But I can prep the Imbued Smash there. And I'll prep that Spark. I've got 3. I'll spend 3 from this to focus her Breach 3. And then I'll buy a charge with these 2 crystals, the last 2 crystals that she had. And we'll go with that. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last turn goes to Taqren. No prepped spells. But he will prep a spell here on his 4 breach. And he's got 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll use that to get him 3 charges. And I think I will have Sahala discard a card off of the Energized Rubidium that he just played. I'm going to have her discard a card to get a charge. And so that's it for his turn. He spent all 6 Aether to get those 3 charges. Draw up. All right, and that's the end of the round. All right, so let me shuffle the turn order deck. All right, so first turn in the new round goes to Taqren. Okay, so I can deal 4 damage. And I think I will. I think I'm going to deal the 4 damage to get rid of these 2 flies. And then I'll discard a Spark to deal 2 damage to the Nemesis. So that's going to bring him down to 17. And because that came out, because that Imbued Smash came out of the Breach 4, it'll heal Gravehold to 1. Or to 11. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to prep the Imbued Smash there. The Gift of Spirit there. I have 2 crystals. I can buy a charge that fills them up all the way. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and use the ability because she does have 3 charges. But I'm going to use his ability to focus any player's breach. I'll go ahead and open hers. And then Any player gains 1 life for each open breach that I have, it's 2, so she'll go from 5. I'll have her go from 5 to 7. All right, let's draw up. Okay, so that's his hand. Okay, second turn of this round is the Nemesis. So Gravehold can suffer 3, or any player lose 2 charges. I'll just have her lose the 2 charges. And then I'll take a crystal off of there, place a Maggoth into play. And any player suffers 2 damage, I'll have Taqren do that. Drop him down to 5. And the card draw. Any player discards 3 cards in hand and suffers 2 damage. All right, let's see. I'll just have her discard it. She has the imbued smash and 3 crystals. I'll just have her discard the 3 crystals because all her breaches are open. So we'll just do that. And discard 3 cards in hand and suffer 2 damage. And I'll bring her down to 5. Okay. Man, I know I really need to get those minions out, but I just feel like at 17 health, this is just the best chance I have of winning. It's the Nemesis. So the Gravehold's going to have to take 3 this time. So down to 8. Getting close. And this power will go off if there are 7 or less total flies. And there are 6. Place 3 flies and 1 Maggoth into play. Okay, so that'll fill up a row, suffer 2 damage, and hatch 2 flies. Gravehold suffers 2 damage. And we're going to hatch 2 flies, which is going to have everything on the board. Okay, so everything on the board now is a fly on the nest mat. So this shape death goes away, and then place a Maggoth into play for the Vile Breeder. And any player suffers 2 damage, I'll just have Sahala take it, I guess. Go down to 3. And let's see what the card is. Unleash twice, any player or Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Alright, so unleash twice, that means 4 Maggoths are going to come into play. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so Gravehold suffers 2 and hatch 3 flies. So Gravehold's at 4. Okay. So I hatch 3 flies, and then any player or Gravehold suffers 3 damage. It'll have to be Taqren. He'll have to go to 2. So Taqren's at 2, Sahala's at 3, and Gravehold is at 4. The good news is I think the Nemesis is done for the round. I don't know that I can win the game before the next round, but I'm sure going to try. Okay, Sahala goes first. So casting out of this breach here is going to give 6 damage, and I can discard a card for 2, which I won't because the only card I have is this. So she's going to deal 6 damage, and that I can either take the Nemesis down to 11 or get rid of some Maggoths or something. You know what? Let's just go for the win. Let's just see what happens. Bringing 17 down to 11. And then she has a spark. And I'm just going to do I'm just going to keep doing it. Bring him down to 10. And unfortunately, she only has this one card, but the good news is it is a spell. It is a imbued smash. So I'll put that on her 4 breach. So I'll draw it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Next turn. Is number 1, it's Sahala. Okay. Does she have a card that she can get rid of? Yes. So I'm going to cast to do 6 damage to him. So that's going to bring him down to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at 4. And I can discard a card to do 4 damage. Now, why can I do 4 damage? Because the spell says you may discard a card in hand. If you do, deal 2 damage to the nemesis. But in the parentheses, it says that, I don't know if you read it because it's small print, effects that modify damage affect both instances of damage. So if I discard a card, I can do 4 damage because it came out of her Celestial Breach. I'm definitely going to do that, and the reason is because that's 4 damage. That's all he has left, and that's the game. So that was getting very nerve-wracking. I actually thought I was going to lose. Gravehold's down to 4 life. Taqren's at 2. Sahala's at 3. I've got 2 minions in play that were just working me. I mean, the nest mat is just about all flies with only 2 maggots getting close to the lose condition up here. So I thought I was going to lose, but it just so happened that Sahala had those. I mean, that's what's so good about the Celestial Breach, 2 damage. And those last 2 turns, she was able to do, 6 damage that one turn, 10 damage this turn, so 16 points of damage. And so she was able to win the game. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. And if you did, please remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when any of my future videos are coming out. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.